guys, it's me Ghost Girl again, and as you can see I'm able to film in the house today, which is good because it's freezing outside. So anyway, today I'm going to be telling you like some more, like another scary story that happened to me when I was a kid. I hope you enjoy this story. This isn't scripted, I'm just doing it kind of as it comes to me. Like, just this video is going to be pretty raw because it is like a true story. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and bear with me because I've not got a script, so I'm just kind of just telling it as how it is. So anyway, this is going to be a story that takes place when I was a kid. So when I was about 9, it was kind of like a rough time for me and my mum. I did mention in a previous video that we were living in Alloa at the time. My mum had, when I was about 4 or 5, my mum met this guy and we moved in with him. We moved in pretty quickly. I always said to my mum, you shouldn't have moved in with that guy so fast. But then that's just what she's like. And this, you'll notice that as I'm telling stories that this has happened quite a few times, and my mum never learns. Like, she genuinely just doesn't learn from her mistakes. So it'll probably happen again in future at some point. Hopefully I'll have moved out and be out of here by then, because I don't think I could deal with that again. Like, the last boyfriend she had was just a nightmare. If you all want me to do like more just general lifetime story time videos, then I can do that. Comment down below if you like want to see that, because I know a lot of people have been saying that they want me to talk about myself more instead of just doing like story videos and telling stories and stuff. Like, they want to know more about me as a person. So if you guys are interested in that, just comment down below, because I do get like people DM me but they don't comment, so it's hard to see like the amount, like the vast amount of people that like are actually interested. Because I'll get like messages at not comments, and it's kind of hard to keep up with the amount of messages I'm getting. But anyway, thanks anyway for letting you guys know that, and I'll take your views and comments in consideration when I plan my next series. But anyway, so basically constantly moving around all the time when I was a kid. We moved out of his, I've mentioned this in a previous video, we moved out of his house, and then we were living in a wee flat in Alloa, and it was just kind of horrendous, that wee flat. It was jinx, things were constantly breaking like all the time. And then we moved to a slightly bigger flat, and then my mum fell out with the neighbours when we moved into this slightly bigger flat. I loved that flat too. It was a beautiful Victorian styled flat. But again, falling out with people, had to leave. So then we came back into this house that we're in now. Like, my mum bought this house and she's always just kind of had it. She was like renting it out when she was living with, when we were living with the boyfriend, with our ex, and she evicted the neighbours so that we could move back in. So that has happened. So I'd no long moved back into this flat, and it was kind of weird because I did live here like years and years ago as a toddler, and I was kind of having like a lot of like flashbacks and stuff from when I was young, when I first moved in. And I didn't really like moving back here. When we moved here, I just remember being in this town and hate living here. I still hate living in this town, but it's just kind of something that it's like, well, I'm actually old enough to actually like do something about it now, and that is what I'm working on doing currently. But at the time I was so young and I felt like, oh, I'm just stuck here, I'm trapped here, there's like nothing I can do. And I actually remember going to my mum and like begging her like hundreds of times, Mum, please can we move? Please can we move? I hate it here, can we move? And then she didn't listen. She just made up some excuse about her work or something. I was like, no, the reason we moved here is because you had a breakup with your boyfriend. And then it turns out we couldn't afford to move again. So yeah, life just got really bad. It was like we couldn't really afford to like eat and stuff, and we were just really poor and really struggling. Cause I was so young, I didn't have money for a job. Like I didn't get money from a job, I wasn't old enough to work. So I kind of struggled for a long time. I mean, it's different now, cause I do have money saved over from when I was working. So it's not as like what it was back then, but it was just really hard. And then I had to move to a different school as well, and it was like fully like we scummy folk from like the junkie land / posh snobby children, and they all looked down on me because I stayed in like a council scheme and they lived in a kind of posh house in like a posh area. And yeah, I got bullied at primary school and like the last 2 years of primary school and all of high school. It was really hard, it was really tough. I have had some times where I felt really low at times, like as low as you can go. I've been there, I've done that loyalty centre, and I really don't want to get into like that part of life ever again. So I think now that I'm older, I think I'm just gonna have to try and focus on getting out of here, because if I'd end up spending the rest of my life in this town, I think I will probably end up like that again, and I really don't want to end up like as low as that again. But like, if any of you guys are struggling with like mental health or depression or anything like that, then do please contact me, because I do know how you feel, I do know what you're going through, I have experienced this myself. Just to let you guys know that the one person, I did say this again in my previous video talking about mental health, but talking about this, my past will bring up this subject, because it was a big part of my life, and it's a big part of anyone's life that suffers from mental health issues. But just to let you guys know, if you do have like something like mental health or depression or anything like that, just find someone to talk to about it, anyone, because you'll be surprised. Sometimes just talking about it to someone will make you feel better, and you'll be surprised. Help can sometimes come from the most unlikeliest of places. I know when I was a kid at school and I was suffering from that, I actually came from the person that I was able to talk to about it, and I was very surprised about it, was actually a lassie from school that I didn't really, she was in my group of friends, but it was like she wasn't like a friend. And when she came to me and I was talking about it, she was surprisingly helpful, and I was actually surprised because we weren't like close or even friends at the time. But since then it did help me, and I did get better, and me and her, we are still friends like today. Like, I've been friends with her for like years now. So it just kind of shows you that like help can come from the most unlikely places. But anyway, we're talking about way back when I was 9. We're not going into like any like high school stuff or that, because this was kind of like before like the worst of the depression and stuff. But I was just to let you guys know, like, the purpose of explaining all this was that at that time I was very unhappy in life. Like, I did not like where I was at my life. I did not want to be where I wanted to be. Things are a lot better now because I've done things of my life and that have helped like improve my situation. Although it's not the end, I've still got work to go, but at least I'm getting somewhere with my life now. Back then it was a long road, and I just didn't know what I was going to do with my life, what was going to happen, and just didn't know what the future entailed. And the future like really scared me, because I just thought at that point, because like when I was in primary school, the work was like at age 9 plus, and in high school as well. Like, I found like the work really hard. Like, I was really struggling to do things and keep up with stuff, and I was always, because I had a learning difficulty, I've got dyslexia, I was always like in the bottom classes and stuff, and I just thought because of that I was never going to do anything decent with my life, that I was never going to get anywhere, and the future was like a scary concept. So I just kind of felt trapped in this life where I was never going to get anywhere, never going to do anything, stuck in this town forever. And it was just a very low point in my life. When I was 9, and this is when I started meeting like all the ghosts and stuff. Like, I was seeing ghosts for younger than that, but I started making like ghost friends at like when I was like 9. That's when I made like all the ghost friends that I talked about like last time. Like, I met Jojo when I was 9, and it was quite a scary encounter. I might talk about that in a future video, but for now I'm just going to stick with this story. So at this point in my life, the ghosts in my house hadn't revealed themselves yet. I knew there was something off about this house, but I was that young, I just didn't really know what this kind of feeling meant, and I didn't really know what it was. But I knew for certain not long after this experience that this house was definitely haunted. And I tried to tell my mum about it, but my mum's that funny that you can't really tell my mum like certain things, or she'll just react in a way that will just make the situation like 5 million times worse. So whenever it comes to paranormal related stuff, I don't turn to my mother for advice, let's just say that. So the first ever kind of spooky thing that happened in this house when I was 9 years old, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm finally getting to the point. So when I was sitting on my bed one day, I came home from school. I was crying because a boy had like called me ugly, and like I'd stolen one of my toys and like flung it in a puddle, and like I'd stepped on it, and it was like all dirty and ruined, and I was crying. And then the next thing you know, I had a hat hanging up on that coat hanger there. See that coat hanger there? Yeah, I've had that since I was 9. Don't have a lot of money to replace things, so the hat was sitting on there, and one day I was crying, and then the hat fell off the coat hanger. But the way it fell, it was like someone had like picked it off of the hanger and like flung it like that. and then this hat just came flying towards me and landed on my lap, and I screamed and screamed and screamed. But my mum, as usual, wasn't in the house. God knows where my mum was at the time. Like, my mum, she used to like just disappear sometimes for days or weeks or months, and I never used to know where she went. Like, actual, like, neglected as a child sometimes, honest to God. But she wasn't there that day. God knows where she was that day. I honestly don't know. But I remember the hat flew into my lap. Like, it was sitting on the peg, and then it like literally flew onto like the bed where like I'm sitting. Like, someone flung it and then it flew. And I was so scared because I'd never experienced anything like that before. And I told the kids at primary school, and they all like made fun of me and told me that I was mental. I did have one friend at primary school, Gemma. She, like, we tried to find like a logical like explanation for it, but we couldn't find one. And she took me to her house one day to play, and we were trying to like fiddle. She had a coat hanger like that on her door as well, and I brought the hat, and we were both like trying to like replicate, like kind of do an experiment of what happened, and we couldn't like recreate what had happened. No matter how we threw the hat, no matter how we tried to knock it over or whatever, we couldn't recreate it. And I think that frightened me even more, because I think then I realised that there was a ghost in my house and my house was haunted. And I was so scared at the time, just because I was like a child. Like, I was a 9-year-old child, like, cut me some slack. And it was then that led to the long kind of time, basically led to the path that I'm on now of dark witchcraft and darkness and paranormal and spookiness. And basically this is how the journey began, of how I started to discover like that I was a medium, that I was a witch, and that I had all these like abilities and gifts and stuff. Like, that was the start of it, like when I actually started to realise that I wasn't like other children. But yeah, that is the story. I know it's not a long story, and I know I've spent most of the time like just kind of ranting on, but if we're gonna go start and doing like paranormal true story times, there is like I had to include like a lot of background like information so you guys like understand like what's going on. Like, people complain about the length of my stories, but it's like there's a lot of detail that needs to go in. Like, I need to like explain what's going on first. I can't like just start randomly telling a story like out of the blue without putting any context in it or explaining it. Plus, you guys try filming YouTube videos every week and running a YouTube channel. It isn't easy. Like, it isn't easy as what people make out. It's quite hard to do, especially like when it comes to editing and that takes forever. So anyway guys, I'm gonna leave it at that before I end up rambling on for ages, because this video is getting very long now. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Please like this video, comment down below, subscribe, remember to click on that notification bell. Also, I've got Twitter, so don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I'm doing a lot of stuff on Twitter right now for Spookfest, so if you're into like the kind of spooky stuff and that, then follow me on Twitter to get like more involved in Spookfest. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and goodbye.